And welcome to Global News on Memories 96.5 FM. Uyo. First, the top stories. Governor Moana attacks youth on self-development and peace building. 2026 Annual Synodical Convention of Lutheran Church of Nigeria ends with a call on believers to be catalysts for change. Federal government and governors hail soldiers' sacrifices on Armed Forces Remembrance Day. On the foreign scene, Sudan's government returns to capital after nearly 3 years of war. And in sports, Super Eagles to arrive Rabat for Morocco encounter. We have details of these and other stories coming up in a moment. I am NYAKNNO Albert. Now the news in full. Beginning from home, Akwa Ibom State's Governor Pastor Moana has urged the youth to focus on self-development and shun every tendency capable of truncating the peace and unity currently enjoyed in the state. Stating this in his remarks during a breakfast meeting with the leadership of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, Akwa Ibom State chapter, the governor noted that the creation of a separate ministry for youth development was basically to have a clear focus and develop programs and policies specifically for the youth of the state. Reports from our Government House correspondent in Fonabong registers that Governor Nor said under his leadership, government has been intentional about youth development through various training and empowerment programs, especially through the Dakota Skills Acquisition Center, DASAC, and the Ibom Leadership and Entrepreneurial Development Center, Ibom-led. Speaking on the 2027 elections, he advised the youth to follow peace and avoid being used by anyone to hit up the polity, urging them to take advantage of the numerous opportunities in the state for their individual development and collective good. On his part, the Commissioner for Youth Development, Dr. NYAKNNO, appreciated the governor for the numerous training and empowerment for the youth and for creating a separate ministry for youth development in the state, assuring that the youth will continue to support the governor and work for his re-election. Still in Akwa Ibom, the 2026 Annual Synodical Convention of the Lutheran Church of Nigeria and 300 million naira fundraising for evangelism in Lutheran University project at Luther Hall, Oboyedemi Besikol, a certain local government area, which kicked off on Thursday 8th, 2026, ended yesterday on a call on believers who understand the myth of Christ in them to serve as a catalyst for change. The national president of the church, Archbishop Christian Ekong, who began with an appreciation to participants on their impressive role since the commencement of the event, wrapped up the theme of the 3-day convention, Christ for You, a catalyst for change, from Ephesians 2 verse 6 and John 3 verse 17, said that Christians were dead to sin, have been moved away from the condemnation of sin after acceptance of Jesus Christ, to be alive in Christ with the notion that Jesus came to bear the sins of the world through his death and resurrection.
Lord himself has begun the work of making us new. He has begun new life in us. In the same way, count yourselves dead to sin, for life to God in Christ. Our theme is another way of expressing the working theme of the Lutheran Church of Nigeria for the year 2026. Christ for you, a catalyst for change. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God.
The Commissioner for Trade and Investment, Akwa Ibom State Captain Inyobong Ekong, who doubles as the chairman of the occasion, tasked believers present on the need to be advocates of the desired change longed for in the society.
It's an honor to stand before you today as the chairman of this university fundraising on the occasion of the annual Synodical Convention 2026. The theme this year is a call to action, a reminder that our faith isn't just about words, but about deeds, about being agents of transformation in a world that desperately needs transformation. As we gather today, we're not just raising funds, we're investing in the lives of people, in the future of our community, and in the spread of the gospel. We are saying that Christ's love is not just a feeling, it's a force that drives us to make a difference. Let me ask you, what does Christ mean to you?
Speaking in an exclusive interview with Memories FM reporter Mary Akpan on the sideline of the event, the immediate past head of civil service, Ambassador Effiong, who doubles as the chairman planning committee of the convention, appreciated the leadership of the church for leaving him the responsibility of planning the occasion and expressed optimism about the university project. In the same vein, the chairman of the Lutheran University project, Dr. NYAKNNO, who harped on the project as indigenously funded, described it as a signature project of the church that is bound to commence in no distant time.
I can see the change that has already taken place even before the word has been preached. God has already done it for us in the Lutheran Church of Nigeria. It on the heart of the members and our friends to have turned out in such a large number. Strong University is already alive, and it's a matter of some administrative arrangement for the university for classes to commence. The infrastructure, the level of completion is very encouraging, for the university to start.
Today, I'm no longer going to dwell on that. What rather I want to bring forth is to assure, it's kind of reassurance. We are now at a very critical point. Like what we plan to do now is to make sure we go and invite the National University Commission. I've started talks with them so that they could come and inspect what we've done so far, then give us provisional approval for us to kickstart that university.
Notable personalities in the environs to include the chairman Nibesibosit local government area evangelist Edidiong Iyang, Obawan Esther Kong, a representative of Lutheran Alumni Association and Diaspora, chief launcher of the occasion in Sekanabasi NYAKNNO. PDP stalwarts, captains of industries, among others, lauded the significance of the university project in the locality and supported the projects with personal donations.
Most Reverend Christian Nicole, I'm always proud to see a son of the son attempting a height of this nature in the kingdom of God. Thank you so much for this privilege. I am the living daughter of the Right Reverend and Mrs. Enquiry of Mona. I am very happy to be here to continue on the legacy of the Akons family.
The university project is one very vibrant, very important, very needed project that we need to have in our community. Most of us go to university outside Nigeria, outside the country, but here we are proposing something that will be within our community.
The events, which started with the procession led by the National Choir and ministers, captured confession of sins, prayers for the nation and state, several Bible readings, and got climaxed with the consecration of 4 bishop designates: Reverend Nathaniel Bodesian, Reverend Monday Basi Jacob, Reverend Chikere Onyoku, and Reverend Joseph Abang into the sacred office of the bishop, as well as Holy Communion, among several other features. To the national scene, as Nigeria marked the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day yesterday, the federal government and state governors joined in paying tribute to the nation's military personnel for their unwavering service and sacrifice in defending the country's unity, peace, and territorial integrity. Across the country, the federal and state governments also joined in honoring the nation's military personnel, holding interdenominational church services to mark the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. The events provided platforms for leaders, including governors and defense officials, to recognize the selfless sacrifices of serving, retired, and fallen soldiers, while reaffirming their commitment to the welfare of troops and the support of their families. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio, speaking at a church in Abuja, paid tribute to members of the armed forces who lost their lives in the line of duty, noting that their sacrifices remained the foundation of the nation's unity, peace, and progress. State governors and national stalwarts present also paid glowing tribute to officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces, serving, retired, and fallen, for their selfless sacrifices in defending the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the nation. In another development, the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, has renewed his call on state governments across the country to ban the use of wooden boats for commercial transportation on waterways and instead invest in safer fiber and aluminium vessels. According to a press statement signed by Oyetola's Special Advisor Bolaji Akinola yesterday, the minister said made the call following a series of recent boat accidents that resulted in multiple casualties, leaving families grieving across several communities. Oyetola urged waterway users to prioritize safety by complying with established safety guidelines, warning particularly against traveling at night due to poor visibility and heightened risk on the water, appealing to passengers to insist on the use of quality life jackets before boarding any vessel and avoid boarding rickety or overloaded vessels. He identified continued reliance on unsafe, poorly maintained wooden boats and non-compliance with safety regulations as major contributors to accidents on Nigeria's inland waterways, adding that many of the vessels currently in use are badly constructed and vulnerable to structural failure, especially when overloaded. Reaffirming the federal government's commitment to safer waterways, Oyetola disclosed that the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy has continued to implement measures aimed at reducing accidents, including the distribution of 35,000 life jackets to riverine states in 2025, adding that improving safety on the waterways requires collaboration and political will across all tiers of government. You're listening to Global News on Memories 96.5 FM, and now to the rest of the news. On the foreign scene, Sudan's military-led government has returned to the country's capital after nearly 3 years of operating from its wartime base in the eastern city of Port Sudan. Sudan's Prime Minister Camille Idris told reporters yesterday that the government of hope was officially back in Khartoum and would begin efforts to improve services for the city's beleaguered residents. Idris said the government will work on improving electricity, water, healthcare and education in Khartoum, declaring that 2026 will be a year of peace for Sudan, where at least 150,000 people have died since the war erupted. The military was forced out by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces when civil war erupted between the two sides in 2023, but the army recaptured it in a significant breakthrough last March. In sports, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will depart first for Rabat today ahead of their 2025 Africa Cup of Nations semi-final encounter with Morocco on Wednesday. The players and the officials returned to Marrakesh yesterday following the quarter-final 2-0 victory over the Desert Foxes of Algeria. They held a recovery session at the Sadian Football Complex in Fez after arriving in Marrakesh, and Wednesday's last full tie will hold at the Stade Moulay Hassan in Rabat. According to camp sources, the Super Eagles will make the trip to Rabat this afternoon and will have their penultimate training session before the clash with Morocco on Wednesday night. That's Global News on Memories 96.5 FM, but before we go, let's take a recap of the top stories. Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has urged the youth to focus on self-development and shun every tendency capable of truncating the peace and unity currently enjoyed in the state. The 2026 Annual Synodical Convention of the Lutheran Church of Nigeria and 300 million naira fundraising for evangelism and Lutheran University projects at Luther Hall, Obodijame Besikwa Sultan local government area, which kicked off on Thursday 8th, 2026, ended yesterday. As Nigeria marked the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day yesterday, the federal government and state governors joined in paying tribute to the nation's military personnel for their unwavering service and sacrifices in defending the country's unity, peace, and territorial integrity. On the foreign scene, we brought you reports that Sudan's military-led government has returned to the country's capital after nearly 3 years of operating from its wartime base in the eastern city of Port Sudan. And in sports, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will depart first for Rabat today ahead of their 2025 Africa Cup of Nations semi-final encounter with Morocco on Wednesday. The news this afternoon was edited by Mfonobong Ekot and assisted by the production team. For views regarding our news or coverage of your newsworthy event, you can reach us on email newsroom@memoriesmediang.com or call our Newsroom hotline on 0909 000 0581. You can also follow us on Facebook at Memories 965 FM and listen to us from anywhere in the world on Radio Garden at Memories 96.5 FM. Log on to our website at www.memoriesmediang.com. And now, let's take you down memory lane. On this day, 1970, marked the formal surrender of Biafra and the end of the 13-month Nigerian Civil War between 1967 and 1970, ushering in an era of national reconciliation under the head of state, General Yakubu Gowon. That's the news. Thank you so much for listening. I am